So Donald Trump is now speaking about the importance of deporting American citizens to Bukele's prisons. It hasn't even been a year, and Donald Trump is already entertaining the idea of deporting American citizens to Bukele's prisons in El Salvador. It hasn't even been a year. You know, I thought to myself, I said, worst case scenario is Donald Trump actually composes himself for a long time. If he can play the boiling frog game for a considerable amount of time, we're fucked. Like if he can unlock one like fascist perk tree point thing in the perk tree like per year, we're gonna have a problem because the American people will become conditioned to accept this. But Donald Trump is speedrunning the most incompetent and psychotic presidency known to American history. This man brazenly speaks about deporting American citizens to El Salvador prisons.
They're great facilities, very strong facilities, and they don't play games. I'd like to go a step further. I mean, I said it to Pam. I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways, that hit elderly ladies on the back of the head with a baseball bat when they're not looking, that are absolute monsters. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country, but you'll have to be looking at the laws on that, Steve, okay?
How essential is it for you guys to be locking up these prisoners? And do you think more presidents should...
Now, Donald Trump, obviously, is trying to preface this and pretty this up with statements about criminals running up behind people and punching them in the back of the head, hitting people with baseball bats, and shoving people into train tracks. This is the cover for what's to come. This is the conservative appeal of rule of law, law and order. We're going to get these violent criminals out of this country. That's the preface they put on it in order to reel you in to support this. What a lot of conservatives don't understand is although there is this appeal of getting rid of violent criminals, or we're going to send them to El Salvador, we're going to be tough on criminals and tough, we have prisons here in America. We can use those. If you want to give, I'm personally a tough on violent crime kind of guy. Locking people up for weed, not a fan. No thank you. Locking people up for having a weapon that's unregistered, not a fan. No thank you. Non-violent criminals going away for significant periods of time, I'm not a fan of. And understand, conservatives love this. They love the idea of locking up people for long periods of time over petty offenses. This is how they waged legal war against the black community for decades. Are those drugs? 20 years. That's how they 20 years. That's how they do it. That's how they do it to you. The reality is Donald Trump and the conservative agenda are trying to now find ways to level up the playing field, to level up the game. They've gone from locking up black people for minuscule amounts of drugs to now trying to find ways to remove political opponents from the United States permanently. Donald Trump more than likely intends to send political opponents to El Salvador. And I would highly recommend that Bukele not go down this path with Trump, because Trump is not going to be in power forever, nor are his cohorts. And in the event that you have a shitload of American political dissidents in your country, anything could happen. I would hope that when that time comes, you release them without a problem. I would hope that you release them without an issue. Because Donald Trump is dragging you into something that he can't save you from. Donald Trump's leadership is going to be a disaster, and him and his cohort will not be in power for long. I give them about 15 years before this comes crashing down, and that's just 15. Time moves unbelievably fast in today's day and age, so it's very much possible that we're looking at maybe 8 years of a dictatorship, maybe. I don't even know if the American people can stomach 8 years of this. Donald Trump is trying to preface this and pretty it up with statements about putting elderly assaulters and, knockout game players into El Salvador prisons. But the reality is, this has nothing to do with them. Donald Trump's not trying to lock up the people who play the knockout game in El Salvador prisons. Well, he probably is, but that's not the actual main goal here. The goal is to create a place in which Donald Trump can send political dissidents that they can be out of his hair forever. That is the goal. Donald Trump doesn't want to just lock up American political dissidents in prison. He wants to lock them up in prisons as far away from the United States as humanly possible. That is what Donald Trump wants. And he's dragging Bukele down a dangerous path. Donald Trump's not trying to be an effective leader. Donald Trump's not trying to be a liked leader. When the guy who's dragging you down the wrong path in history isn't even a likable president and he loses support day by day by day with his supporters coming out talking about how they're losing money because of him, you might not want to go down that dark path with him. But that's effectively where we are now. Donald Trump wants to send criminals to prisons in El Salvador. And we know Donald Trump has no intention of giving them due process. So what can happen is you can be chilling at any moment in time. Random agents can hop out of a truck, grab you, throw you in a van, throw you eventually on an Amazon plane, and just fly you all the way to El Salvador and lock you up for good. That is Donald Trump's plan for handling political dissidents, apparently, as it seems right now. We don't know if he'll just start deleting them at some point, but clearly Donald Trump wants to open up the floodgates, open up the possibility of locking up his political opponents in El Salvador prisons, and he's not even trying to hide it. Not even trying to hide it. Talking about homegrowns. We got to put the homegrown criminals in prison. We have prisons here. Conservatives are vile, disgusting animals who need to be stopped. Serious. That's just, there's nothing more to talk about here. I'm not going to sell you guys this bullshit of like, oh, well, you know, if we just try to be nice to them, it'll all work out. Nope. These people will kill you. They'll take your rights from you. They'll violate your right to marry who you want. They'll violate your right to not be treated like less than human because of the color of your skin. They'll violate they'll violate each other. They will ruin one another's lives. They will plot and scheme to cut one another's health care, one another's social security, destroy rule of law. I mean, these people are insane. They are deranged, they are insane, and they are a danger to all of us. White man, black man, they are a threat to everyone. Conservatives, you know this ain't going in the right direction. Whenever y'all are ready to admit the Trump train is going straight to hell, I'll be here. Although I don't want any Trump supporter driving the car, if y'all want to come along for the ride, so be it. Because the reality is, this is not going the right direction. And realize and understand, conservatives, this can eventually be you. Y'all be the main ones ready to crash out when you don't get your way. So imagine when Trump goes down a direction you guys don't accept. And now you're standing up and speaking out. You can end up in a prison in El Salvador simply because Donald Trump says so. This is where we are now.